Who's got big balls? Saylor's got big balls. And they're growing, even bigger than Stinky Larry Finky's. The war is on, and strategy is accelerating the supply shock. Stretch STRC is gaining momentum, and this rate of accumulation in a bear market is absolutely insane. So what is Michael Saylor's Stretch STRC? Why is it so appealing? Why not just buy Bitcoin? We're breaking it down, as well as what Michael Saylor pulled off. Bitcoin Rockefeller is making major moves and helping create the supply shock that brings about the Omega candle, and at the same time, speaking of oil bearing, would you look at that? An oil shock is about to hit America, and an admiral just basically quoted soft war in Congress. That's not prophetic at all. Welcome back, I'm Rustin, and we got a massive show today and some insanely, obviously bullish news to get to. Thunder!
Look, I think Bitcoin is perfect money, and it's the most profound opportunity of the 21st century. And the rich, the powerful, the comfortable, and the arrogant have no need for it. So I think the most beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's money there for the taking. If you want money, if you need money, if you're willing to take the risk, if you're at the beginning of your life cycle, if you're in your youth, America was a youthful country. If you're a youthful person, a youthful family, a youthful company, if you're an ambitious country, then it's there for the taking. I can't really tell you, I mean, and the beauty is Satoshi gave sovereign money, which means that the rights of a cab driver in Nigeria are just as powerful as the rights of the United States, you know, in Foggy Bottom. So will the Bitcoin be claimed by individuals? Will it be claimed by corporations? Will it be claimed by nation states? Will it be claimed by institutions? And the answer is, I don't know, and I think that Satoshi just kind of gave perfect money to the world. Those who can overcome their arrogance, who need it, will see it for what it is, and they will claim it.
Speaking of arrogance, the Bitcoin haters and deniers are capitulating at levels never seen before. Let's start with BlackRock, since these two titans are battling it out to become the most powerful Bitcoin machines in existence.
Bitcoin in particular is this non-sovereign global decentralized asset that can really provide value to people's portfolios in small doses as a unique asset. Sort of like how gold doesn't behave like stocks or bonds, Bitcoin is driven by its own rules and its own drivers, predominantly, which is greater geopolitical or inflation risk. And frankly, we live in a world where these are prevalent risks around the economy, where people want to hedge that with different assets.
Isn't it interesting? It used to be fringe, and now, thanks very much in part to Larry Fink, your boss, and iShares coming out with the iBit, this is more than 2 years ago now, that it really became this opportunity for people to understand it. Are you saying now that Bitcoin and crypto are long-term investments?
I think you have to look at it through a long-term lens because it's volatile. Because we see over weeks, months, it can be up and down. People are still trying to figure out what the value of this asset is. But if you zoom out and take a long-term view of the role it can play in a portfolio, it can really be one of those diversifiers that behaves unique from stocks and bonds.
When somebody who is Bitcoin curious comes out and says to you, Jay, what is the value? 1 minute in October, it's 126,000. Today, it's 76,000.
You have to look at it in the context of a broader portfolio. We can't put a specific price target on it on a given moment. It really has to do with how much do people need this asset that can behave uniquely, that can be a geopolitical hedge. That's constantly changing around the world. When you see more currency debasement, when you see rising government debts, when you see that more people want to move assets across borders, that's going to increase the value of something like Bitcoin. And so in this world, we see that as a structural trend that's growing. But minute by minute, that demand and supply is going to change.
Bitcoin makes its own rules. You can't blockade Bitcoin. You can't sanction Bitcoin. You either stack enough Bitcoin to remain BlackRock, or slack off and GigaChat outstacks you and becomes the new BlackRock. Larry's in trouble because Michael Saylor's little Bitcoin monster, STRC, is accumulating at an incredible pace. Seriously, we're talking about like 1 million plus Bitcoin by the end of this year and possibly by August. So let me explain what Stretch is, because the financial industrial complex does not want you to understand this. It is actually embarrassingly simple. There are trillions. Trillions of dollars sitting in pension funds, insurance companies, sovereign wealth funds, and they cannot buy Bitcoin. Their mandates literally won't allow it. We're talking about 1/3 of all global wealth, 300 trillion in the fixed income market, legally locked out of the hardest asset ever created. So Saylor looked at that and said, cool, let me build a door. STRC is a perpetual preferred stock listed on the NASDAQ that pays you around 11.5% yield. You give Saylor your money, he buys Bitcoin with it, locks it in the vault forever, and pays you your yield out of a Bitcoin treasury that has historically compounded at 60% a year. That's it. That's the whole thing. The bears heard yield and Bitcoin in the same sentence and immediately started screaming Ponzi. The Celsius trauma response is real. I get it. But here's the difference. Genius! Celsius was a black box running shady derivatives behind a curtain. And I don't trust anyone who wears suspenders. It's just weird. Strategy's balance sheet is the first thing you see on their website. Right now, they're sitting on nearly 800,000 Bitcoin against 1.3 billion in annual dividend obligations. That's 48 years of dividend coverage in Bitcoin, not counting the $2.25 billion cash reserve.
So we're winning, but I guess the good news for everybody is we're going to keep winning for the next 10 years. And there's 40 quarters during which Vanguard will first accidentally own my stock, then they will grudgingly let you buy it, then they will allocate 1% to it, and then they'll be like, wow, I guess it's a good idea.
It's a carry trade. Every major bank on earth does this. Berkshire Hathaway does this with Geico's float. Japan built its entire monetary policy around this. They borrow cheap, deploy into high-growth assets. Saylor is doing the exact same thing, except instead of equities or bonds on its other side, it's Bitcoin, the most scarce asset in human history. And the machine is scaling in a way that should make you physically uncomfortable if you don't own Bitcoin. Even if you do, because things could get out of hand and people get priced out in a hurry. This moment is referred to as the trademark Parman. And back in October, they were trading 735,000 STRC shares a day. By this month, 6.8 million shares a day. Peak day, 15.8 million. In the last 6 months alone, they've raised 5.74 billion. 90% of that just the last couple months. So let's run the numbers conservatively, and I mean embarrassingly conservatively. Bitcoin growth at 25% a year, not the 30% that Saylor projects, and Stretch issuance growing just 2% month over month. That's literally slower than it's already growing. Year one, they accumulate 553,000 Bitcoin, and Bitcoin closes the year at 95K. 3 years, a $250 billion Bitcoin stack. 5 years, 661 billion. 10 years, 4.18 trillion, which is 28% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist. Strategy becomes a sovereign scale Bitcoin gravity well, and they just bought 3 months of miner supply in a single week. 1 week. So, when the bid goes from 3.5 billion a month toward 30 billion a month, where do you think coins are coming from? The tradable float is already shrinking. The price has to correct upward to find more sellers. That's not hopium, that's supply and demand in a market with a 21 million hard cap. Larry Fink is out here selling Bitcoin ETFs while Saylor is removing Bitcoin from existence. That's why it's a war. That's why the Omega candle is structural, not speculative. The machine is running, the supply shock is accelerating, and Stretch is the jet fuel. And that's also why you need to get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into self-custody, like your generational wealth depended on it, because it does. The time to visit thebitcoinway.com is now, because if the fucking is upon us, and it is, then you need to take self-custody, and the Bitcoin Way is your guide to sovereignty. They are the IT team for Bitcoin. Bitcoin held in self-custody can't be frozen, seized, or restricted. Bitcoin held on an exchange, that's a government letter away from freezing your account. Not your keys, not your cheese. The Bitcoin Way sets you up with ironclad self-custody, proper hardware, wallets, Your own node, full on-chain verification, so your Bitcoin is actually yours, not your bank's. Not an exchange, is yours. Their team guides you through the entire setup step by step until you've mastered it, and they can help you with privacy phones, Plan B, residency, and so much more. No single point of failure standing between you and your generational wealth. Book a free 30-minute consultation right now by scanning that QR code or clicking the link in the show notes and begin your journey towards sovereignty today, the Bitcoin way. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you and I both know they're debasing us into poverty. So if you ever need liquidity, even just to buy groceries in Clown World today, you can make loans to yourself and pay them off on your own time. Here's something a lot of Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Selling means taxes. Selling means exiting your position. Selling means you lose. Ledn fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash, and repay whenever you want. Zero penalties, zero monthly payments, and right now, Ledn just dropped their lowest rates ever. No fine print, no complexity. The larger your loan, the lower the rate. And you see every number up front before you even apply. Here's why I trust them personally. Your Bitcoin is custodied at all times, never lent out for interest. You get auto top-up protection, LTV alerts, and partial repayment options, so you stay in control through any market condition. That's not marketing. That's $10 billion in loans across 8 years with a perfect track record. Every market cycle, not one client's funds have been lost. Don't choose between a great rate and safety of your Bitcoin. Ledn gives you both. Scan the QR or use the link below to head to ledn.io today. All right, big finish time.
To another subject, our competition with China isn't just about military strength. It also includes monetary strength as well. You know, last year, the Chinese Communist Party's main monetary think tank published research on Bitcoin as a strategic asset. You know, this came after President Trump moved to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Admiral, how does leadership in Bitcoin impact leverage resilience, deterrence for Indo-PACOM against China? And do you think that a strategic Bitcoin reserve helps America compete against China?
Senator, our research into Bitcoin is as a computer science tool. It's the combination of cryptography, a blockchain, and a proof of work. And Bitcoin shows incredible potential as a computer science tool that through the proof of work protocols it actually imposes more cost than just the algorithmic securing of networks and our ability to operate. And Bitcoin is a reality. It is a valuable computer science tool as a power projection. And outside of the economic formulation of it, it has got really important computer science applications for cybersecurity.
Thank you. What recommendations do you have for us here in Congress on how the U.S. can lead on Bitcoin competition?
I have to go deeper on that with you for the record, and I can go deeper on that case. But Bitcoin is a reality. It is a peer-to-peer, zero trust transfer of value. Anything that supports the all instruments of national power for the United States of America is to the good.
Thank you. I'll have to go back and listen to that answer to kind of decipher it. Most of us entered, you're way over our head.
You remember when they banned this? Now admirals are basically quoting it in Congress. Something over the target. Digital 1776 did not and does not ask permission. Now let's say think 20, 30, 40 years from now, and how history might look back at this, what Saylor did, and the gravity of it. This isn't just an epic comparison. It's the timing of the comparison that makes it more powerful, as an oil shock is hitting the world while Saylor is engineering a Bitcoin supply shock as we speak. Check this out from AA Stack. John D. Rockefeller did not invent oil. Michael Saylor did not invent Bitcoin. What they both understood was that controlling the best asset was not enough. You had to build the machine around it. Rockefeller built refineries, rail deals, pipelines, distribution. He took raw oil and turned it into an empire. Saylor is doing the same with Bitcoin. He is building capital structures, preferred shares, debt markets, ETFs, and public equity around the hardest asset on earth. Rockefeller accumulated oil before the world fully understood how valuable it would become. Saylor is accumulating Bitcoin before the world fully understands what it is. One built the empire of industrial energy. The other is building the empire of digital energy. The playbook is the same. Acquire scarce assets early, build the infrastructure around them, and let the rest of the world arrive late. My friends, Bitcoin protects your wealth, but it won't keep you connected when the grid goes down. Sat123 fixes that. Satellite phones, Starlink kits, Faraday bags, and backpacks. Everything built for people who take sovereignty seriously. You can head over to sat123.com and use code SIMPLY for 15% off at the checkout. That's sat123.com. Use code SIMPLY. So here's where we are. The most powerful capital allocation machine ever built is vacuuming Bitcoin off the face of the earth. The tradable float shrinking, the bid growing, and the people who were supposed to protect you, the banks, the Fed, the pension funds, are either legally blocked from participating or they're on the wrong side of the trade. And you, sitting here, you already know this. That's what separates this audience from everyone else's. You didn't need BlackRock to send you a memo. You didn't need a senator to quote soft war in Congress. You didn't need an admiral to explain what's happening before you believed it. You were already here. Rockefeller built his empire because he saw oil before the world understood energy. Saylor is building his empire. Start this up. Rockefeller built his empire because he saw oil before the world understood energy. Saylor is building his empire because he sees Bitcoin before the world understands money. The playbook is identical. The only variable, the only thing that's actually changed is which side of the trade you're on. The Omega candle doesn't care about your feelings. The supply shock doesn't negotiate. The 21 million hard cap isn't a talking point. It is a mathematical wall that every dollar, every ETF, every SDRC share is now running directly into. Hey, wait a minute. Look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe. I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Stat custody. Your keys. Do not sell. Pay the like toll. Subscribe. Give us a pamp by sharing this video with someone who trusts people in suspenders, and let us know what you think down below. My friends, the machine is running, and it doesn't stop. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.